Welcome to This Explainer. If you're tuning in today, you're probably dealing with one of the most, notoriously maddening experiences out there: mixed signals. You know the exact scenario our source material is talking about here. You meet a woman, there's this amazing spark, and everything just seems to be clicking. But then, literally almost overnight, the vibe completely shifts. All that warmth just vanishes, it's replaced by distance, and you are left completely baffled. Today, we're going to dive deep into the psychology behind all of this. And I promise you, by the time we wrap up, you're going to see these interactions in a totally different light.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever found yourself just sitting there asking, wait, did I do something wrong? The source text highlights perfectly just how agitating this confusion really is. I mean, one day, she's completely locked in. She's laughing at your jokes, leaning in, holding your gaze for just a second longer than normal. The connection is undeniable, right? But then, the very next day, she's distant, almost aloof. It's like absolutely nothing happened between the two of you. Talk about conversational whiplash. You naturally start to spiral, right? Wondering if you totally misread the room, if she's suddenly losing interest, or if you somehow just messed the whole thing up.
So, your anxious brain is probably screaming that she's losing interest. But the psychological framework in our source material reveals a pretty surprising truth. She is actually just scared of falling. The behavior you're witnessing, it might look exactly like avoidance on the surface, but underneath, it's this profound, intense fear of vulnerability. She isn't pulling away because she doesn't care. The crazy irony here is that she's pulling away precisely because she cares a bit too much, and honestly, that terrifies her.
Section 1. Physical cues of overload, when the body betrays the heart.
What's really fascinating here is this concept of emotional overload. According to the source, when she avoids your gaze right after a really deep connected moment, it has nothing to do with being bored. It's because when she starts feeling real emotion, maintaining that eye contact literally becomes way too intense to handle. Her nervous system is essentially kicking into overdrive. So what happens? She looks away, she fidgets, she might smile nervously or suddenly act like she's super distracted by her phone. Her body is entirely betraying what her heart is desperately trying to hide. It's a classic sign of emotional overload, not avoidance.
And this creates this crazy internal tug-of-war that leads to some seriously contradictory actions. You might start noticing that she's manufacturing these little excuses to see you, like she might accidentally show up where you happen to be hanging out, or shoot you a text about something completely random. But, and here's the key, she will play it off incredibly casually, like it's pure coincidence. Her logic is working overtime to pretend it's no big deal, all while her heart is actively hoping to just get a glimpse of you. It's her way of testing the waters without fully exposing her hand.
Moving on to Section 2, Hot and Cold Communication, the Shield of Distance.
And this brilliantly illustrates that wild shift in communication. Day one, she's super playful, texting back at lightning speed, laughing at everything. The momentum feels amazing. But day two, suddenly crickets. She's distant, quiet, and her texts are just impossible to read. The stark contrast between these 2 days is the literal definition of hot and cold behavior, and it leaves you feeling completely off balance, wondering which version of her is actually the real one.
But here is the absolute reality check. It's not confusion, it's protection. This incredibly frustrating hot and cold pattern is simply her fighting her own emotions. When she feels herself getting too attached, or maybe having a little too much fun one day, her internal defense mechanisms just slam on the brakes the next. She's actively telling herself, whoa, don't fall too fast. So that distance you're feeling, it's not a lack of interest at all. It's a shield she's throwing up to protect herself from the sheer velocity of her own feelings.
Section 3. The vulnerability defense, retreating after opening up.
It usually happens like absolute clockwork. First, she trusts you enough to share a personal story or maybe a really fond memory. Then, she goes a step further and reveals a past wound, something super sensitive. But right after that, boom, she suddenly goes totally quiet and pulls back. Why? Because the actual act of being vulnerable completely terrifies her. In that tiny moment of sharing, she felt truly seen by you. And for someone who is guarding their heart that closely, being deeply, truly seen is actually way scarier than facing rejection. Rejection just hurts the ego, right? But being seen, that threatens the fortress she spent years building.
This intense fear of vulnerability often forces its way into what she actually says out loud. So when you hear things like, I'm just done with love right now, or I'm not looking for anything serious, our source strongly urges us to look past the surface. These aren't always objective truths. They are defense mechanisms wrapped up to look like pure logic. She's essentially trying to rationalize her way out of an emotional situation by convincing both of you that she just isn't available.
But what she really means when she's pushing you away with all that logic is captured perfectly in this hidden internal monologue. I felt something like this before and it broke me. I don't want to go through that pain again. That is the core of the whole shebang. It is not a rejection of you as a person, it's an overwhelming fear of repeating past pain. Empathy here is absolutely crucial. Her actions are being driven by a historical emotional wound, and your connection is just accidentally tripping an old alarm wire.
Which brings us to section 4, how you should respond, navigating the fear.
So, the crucial point is establishing how to actually handle this. First rule, don't chase her. Pursuing her aggressively is only going to validate her fears and make her feel totally smothered. But equally important, do not just disappear either. If you vanish the second she gets scared, you're just proving to her that people always leave, which is literally her worst fear. You've got to thread the needle between these two extremes.
So here's your actual roadmap. Step 1, stay grounded, so her emotional roller coaster doesn't end up dictating your mood. Step 2, stay calm, react without any anger or panic. And step 3, above all else, stay consistent. Be that reliable rock in her life. The entire goal here is to create emotional safety, because the source tells us straight up, when a woman feels genuinely emotionally safe, those defensive walls, they'll naturally begin to fall all on their own.
It all boils down to these final guidelines. Be patient with her timeline. Be kind, recognizing that the distance is born out of fear, not malice. And just be real. Maintain your own authenticity. By doing these things, you're proving to her that you are a safe space. Because beneath all those flimsy excuses, the pulled back texts, and the nervous eye contact, she is really just protecting herself from the exact thing she secretly wants, to fall in love.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one really powerful question to carry with you. Is she avoiding you, or is she just waiting to feel safe? Keep this major perspective shift in your back pocket the next time you run into mixed signals. By approaching dating with this newfound empathy, you might just realize that she's not scared of you at all. She's just scared of what she feels when she's with you. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Let this insight completely change the way you read the room and the heart.